on people that don't want to go out. We're going to give it, we're going to give it a try this year. And then hopefully next will be water bills and we'll be all the way up, up to date.
Hey,
So,
Wendy, but they still have the option of dropping off in the box.
oh, absolutely. And for now, our door is still open because we have our safety window and we are comfortable with that for now. So yeah, they can still bring them into us. They can mail them, they can drop them in the box, and then they'll also have that fourth option of doing it online. So we're trying to cover all of our bases as tax season approaches.
Awesome, Wendy. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you.
Wendy, thank you very much. And water and sewer, we have Adam's report. With that, is there any old business to come before the board tonight?
Yeah, I like to talk about something, and I'm not looking for an argument. I just want to put some clarity on it. So we talked about the municipal bookkeeper at the last meeting, and I believe the person we have in the municipal bookkeeping position is an awesome candidate, is doing a wonderful job, and we are very lucky to have her with as talented as she is. So when I talked at the last meeting about the appointment, and I really reflected on it later, and Claire, you can join in on this, because when we had the old bookkeeper with the appointment, the problem is the bookkeeper felt she worked for the supervisor and not for the town board. And that didn't put the best interests of the town forward. So when we created the municipal position, the whole idea of that was this person would work for the town, not an appointment, and be fearful if the supervisor was not happy with them, or a new supervisor came in, they would lose their job and somebody new would be reappointed. I really believe this position, as important as it is, needs to be the civil service as we made it, and the person gets hired and not have to be fearful of losing their job if the supervisor changes or if the supervisor gets mad. And we were all concerned about that. And you remember that conversation, Claire, and I'm not trying to argue. I'm just trying to do what's best for the town.
I do, but I also understand that we never moved forward with it. So, and I understand what you're saying, Joe. I do. But I mean, we're here. You know what I mean? And we have her.
But as of right now, she's interim, so she's in the position, so she's doing the job. And
I'm not sure I'm not sure what I don't have the minutes, but the resolution didn't say interim.
No, we changed that. Remember, I said that we added that at the meeting to interim.
That's fine. But remember, in 3 weeks when we reorg, she won't be interim.
Well, that's true.
It's not about Fred. It's not about that. It's about doing what's best for the town.
But Joe, I think this is best for the town. We just disagree.
So what I'm saying is that having a person that valuable, because that is the whole backbone to our finance, as an appointment, is not in the best interest of the taxpayers and the town, because
that's where you and I may disagree to disagree, but I don't.
But the board has the final decision, Fred.
You have the final decision on her salary, Joe.
No, the board can make that. The position is not appointment, and you can make the part-time bookkeeper the appointment if you want. But
no, you can't. You can't listen. It's the state statute.
Never followed through with making her a municipal bookkeeper by, the CSEA requirements. So, as far as I'm concerned, it is his appointment. But Joe, really, we're in a good spot with everything. So I don't know why are we going back?
Because we're in a good spot right now. Because
what happens down the road?
Come in September, there's going to be an election, and we don't know what's going to happen in that election. And hopefully, Freddie, you're still there. But regardless, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, the supervisor seat's an only 2-year term, and we want to make sure that position has stability. And that was the whole point of it. And we remember with the person that was there, how fearful she was about losing her job, about making the supervisor mad, about not giving us information. And we don't want to travel down that road, and we're in a great place. And I think that the person we want to put into position is the most qualified, but that person needs to have security in that job. And that's why it's a civil service title, and that's why we did that. And now to say, hey, and Fred, I get it, but none of us are going to be around forever, but we need to make sure that we protect people when we put them in a position.
And I can't see when you have somebody now in a position where, and it's not like the old days, it's not like we're working off Excel spreadsheet today. This is highly technical. And
That's exactly why, Fred.
One second. The last bookkeeper was here for 17 years. She was fine.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing to consider, Joe. As hard as it is for us to get a bookkeeper that is as good as Kendra, and who was, Karen McPeck was a good bookkeeper. They're not going anywhere, because I don't think any supervisor coming in at this point is going to want to deal with it. It's really a hard position to switch around. But I have to just say one thing, and I'm not changing the subject, but Sean is texting me. Sean, you're on mute, and I think that Dave is the only one that can unmute you.
So WebEx has changed their policy. I can only send a request to unmute. And the reason I do that is because people may be having conversations in the background that they don't want me to unmute.
So he's muted, and he said he can't say anything.
So the people who are on the phone call, there's a button to push, and I don't know what it is because I've never used the button, never used the phone because I'm always hosting. So I apologize for that, but I think it gives you the instructions when you call in.
There's a big little window that says mute, and you click on or click it off, and the red light comes on.
That's on video, right?
The computer, though. Is that the phone? Lenny, you use the phone. How do you unmute yourself on the phone, Lenny?
There is no unmute on the phone. I know, but the question is, there's no mute.
Let's try something. Just for.
Now you're muted, Dave.
I think Dave's calling in and saying.
Is Mike on?
I don't know. I'm going to call Mike.
If he is, he's one of the call-in users that I cannot unmute. I can only request an unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sean, how did you unmute?
I pressed *6, which I've done that a couple times, but I just did it now and it worked.
So Mike, hit *6 if you're on. No? Okay. All right, well, I guess we can move on. I just feel bad that he's not there. Joe, you're texting him, right?
Yeah, I'm calling him right now.
Okay. Because he might just need to have you walk it through him.
He's trying to get on. He can't get on. So I'm talking to him right now. Hold on, guys.
Yeah, turn that down a little bit.
He's calling in right now again. He's having a hard time. It was the mute. He had the same problem with the mute that Sean had.
Is he on the phone, Joe, or is he on a computer?
He's on the
Trying to
phone.
open the phone.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, Sean.
We got
Okay.
Sean.
Sean, can you give us clarity about this bookkeeper position while we're waiting for Mike?
Well, I think it's what you're talking about is policy. If you want to make it a civil service position, but I think Freddie has the appointment. So if he wants to make it an appointment,
But we did.
'cause
But Sean, I thought we did when we hired and I sent the resolution where we made it a municipal bookkeeper. We changed the title, and it wasn't an appointment any longer. So then,
Well, you didn't delete the appointment. You attempted to make a civil service position, but then it never left here under the last bookkeeper. I'm sorry, under the last secretary. Never got filed with the county.
Why did, but we voted on that, so that,
I don't know what to tell you, Joe. That was last year and it never went anyplace.
but
Yeah,
that,
and I think
but Sean, if we pass a law and we pass a resolution, that's upheld. I mean, they need to go and file it or backdate it or something, but it
But
needs
you
to be
can't,
filed.
but I told you
But we
before, Joe, you can't override New York state law. The law gives me both of those appointments. So you can't override it.
I can't.
It gives you appointment of
Come on, Mike. Can everybody let Mike know he's on? You're on. We hear you.
a, Sean, where in writing
You're on,
does it
Mike.
say, Sean, where in writing does it say that the supervisor, because I thought he had one appointment and they played with it with the old supervisor. Where in the law does
yeah,
it
I
say
don't have
that?
I don't have the section in front of me, but he's got
I do. I have the Sean, I have the section in front of me. I told this to Joe earlier. New York State Consolidated Laws, Town Law, and I'll read section 15. Town Law, first class designates, the supervisor designates a bookkeeper or a confidential secretary or both. It's very clear.
Or both?
So,
Or
I
both?
don't know what else to tell you.
Well, email me a copy of that so I can read it, because now it's or both. It's one or the other. Now it's or both.
No, I'm reading you the
You
sentence.
told me in the phone it was based on population. So which one is it?
If you stop talking, I'll tell you. When you're a first-class town, which the town of Lloyd is, we're over 10,000, you get both. It's very,
So email us all a copy so we see it. That's the case.
Okay.
That's the case.
Okay, can we move on, guys? You good?
go ahead.
But Sean, do we need?
Yes.
Can the board make that a civil service position through voting on it, and he can appoint something else?
Listen, I want to move on from this right now. You need to get the law and look at it.
But that's
I'm not
another.
going to belabor this tonight.
Excuse me, Fred. We're not arguing.
I know we're not arguing, but
I'm
this is,
I'm asking the town attorney. I get it. You want the appointment. I get it. You think you can make the appointment. I understand that. But what
I'm looking at state law.
And what I'm saying is, can the board, because we've already done it once in the supervisor's office, failed to file the paperwork, so therefore we can do it again. So
Well,
Sean, can we?
you can attempt to do it again if you have the vote.
Well, I think I'd have the votes.
Okay.
Hmm.
You don't have mine.
I think it's a board decision. If you wanted to create a civil service position, the board wanted to do that as a whole, and they voted for it. Yes, the board could do that.
But then does it override New York state law?
But I mean, I think Fred would still have. The thing is, you don't want to create two positions. I mean, like I said, because Fred has the supervisor, not Fred. The supervisor has the authority to appoint a confidential secretary and a bookkeeper. So if Fred could do that, and I mean, you could create a position, like I said, a civil service position, if the board wanted to. I don't think you could take Fred's appointment away, but that'd be two separate positions.
But he could appoint the part-time bookkeeper, which we have, which we didn't have before. So
Yeah, but I'm not doing, Joe, but I'm not doing that.
It's appointed who it
Fred,
wants.
you have no choice if the board passes that resolution.
That's
I know
assuming you can override state law.
You'd
Right.
still have your Sean.
You can't take Fred's appointment away.
He'd still have the appointment, but to a bookkeeper, which is part-time.
It's not part-time.
Listen,
Full-time.
he gets to appoint who he wants to appoint. If he chooses to appoint a full-time, you can't override the New York state law. So to me, it's like,
And we set the salary, Claire. We can set it to whatever we want. So we can set that salary to a part-time salary or no salary. The board sets the salary in the hours.
Then you have no bookkeeper, and then you could come and do the job.
You have a bookkeeper. You have the municipal bookkeeper for the position we created that your office failed to file the proper.
it wasn't
Not my office. I wasn't here. That was you guys, not me. I was not here. I was last year.
the paperwork sat on the desk of the secretary to the last guy. So can we just move on, please? This is like at this point, there's no point in arguing it.
Okay.
We have an awesome bookkeeper. Can we just leave it alone?
Nobody's saying we don't have an awesome bookkeeper, but the
Yeah.
bookkeeper, the way it stands as an appointment, has no security and is at the mercy of whoever
Well,
wins an election.
that's really not true, Joe. If a supervisor got elected and came into this office and thought he was going to get rid of any bookkeeper that's doing the job with all the talent and the knowledge that it takes to do the job, it would be sight of suicidal.
Not to mention all the knowledge you need to have to run Benetech and all the other nonsense. that you
Correct.
gotta-
It's now a computerized system. The days of Excel spreadsheets are history.
Well,
Okay.
if somebody new does come in, Fred, and they want to bring their own people with them, they can certainly eliminate the present bookkeeper. And
But
bring
it
in
didn't
their
happen
own
for
bookkeeper.
17 years. I don't know. You keep talking about if.
Mike,
No,
the
I'm just saying,
likeliness, the likeliness of
What?
somebody coming in and wanting to replace a bookkeeper in that town hall is very unlikely. It's a really tough job.
well, but it
but
could happen.
it-
Yeah, of
they-
course it is. But
It is. I agree. It's unlikely. This is Sean again. But yes, Joe and Mike are right. If a new supervisor came in, they could appoint their own confidential secretary and their own bookkeeper because they have the appointment. It's an appointment of the
Right.
supervisor.
Right. And the town board sets the salary.
Yes.
So
Yep.
hopefully you're in keeping with the town board or you have a salary issue.
Excuse me, Fred. I don't understand why you're being so argumentative. We're just having.
I'm not being argumentative. I'm not being argumentative.
I can tell you that it's we're beating a dead horse here. That's
We're
why.
not being a dead horse because
What's the matter?
if I vote yes and Mike vote yes,
Dave has something to say.
Can I say something?
This
Yay!
little boy in the
it's
first
not a board
round.
member, Dave. It's not
Yeah.
privileged to the floor.
I'm sorry to interrupt, and it's really none of my business, although we live in the town hall, so it is sort of my business. I've had this conversation a couple times with a couple town board members, and I'm of the opinion that because, as Freddie points out, it is a more technically advanced system that we're using now, I am absolutely positively of the opinion, and this may solve Joe's point, is that I think there needs to be a bookkeeper full-time, Kendra, and then there needs to be another full-time, because there's so much stuff churning through that office all the time, and both these people will be brand new. So if Freddie gets his full-time appointment, and you've got a civil service one that's full-time, Joe gets what he wants, so there's some continuity, and I agree with Joe, the continuity is important, because we lost that when we lost Karen. And the other person is, Freddie's appointment, who, serves Freddie's pleasure.
And that's what I'm saying, Dave. And I got no problem with that. And the board sets the salary, so we can set the salary to make the part-time, full-time, and set the salary to it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be close to what Kendra's making. It's just a person who comes in and does the lower level things that allow Kendra to do the higher level budget stuff to work with Freddie and Margaret and the town board. Because I hear what you're saying, Joe. I mean, there was always a problem in the past getting that connection between the council people and the bookkeeper. We've tried to do away with that, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Freddie did a great job working with our most recent bookkeeper. He was in there every day. She worked with the rest of us. Wendy and I, we work with her pretty regularly. I think Kendra will be the same way. But I am absolutely positively of the opinion that it's going to be too much work. It's going to be burnout. I mean, Karen always wanted an assistant, and she asked for it. And I think by putting another part-timer in there, I don't know that it serves the town the best that it could. And again, it solves Freddie's appointment. And I absolutely agree with Freddie. We're a town of the first class. And I believe he gets two. I've seen that law. And I also think that, that Joe's point is valid. And that's all I have to say.
So then, do we feel that we financially can support that at this time? That's the other point.
I think Margaret is best. I think Margaret has answered that question, but I was not privy to that conversation. So I think yes, but maybe it's something to be to be worked out. Maybe for
Right. We can certainly start to crunch those numbers tomorrow. We funded a part-time person, and we'll have to see how much more what the board's flavor is for a full-time person, and then we can go from there.
And remember, the board does set the salary on that
Correct.
appointment.
Yep.
And then I think that we create a position, and it's not, and Dave, I really appreciate your input, but I just want to clarify two things. One is it's not what I want, it's what I believe is in the best interest of the town. And what we lived through it because you lived it. When the person was so worried about their job security, it was becoming very difficult to get any information at all. and it was on your levels as you as a department head needing information, dealing with your budget and purchasing things, to a board member trying to ask questions and information not be given to them.
Yeah, and I think this solution may solve. You know, I agree. Freddie gets I absolutely agree with Freddie. He gets an appointment, and I absolutely, and I cannot. I don't know how much stronger I could advocate for it. That I think Kendra's going to need a full timer to help her with the day-to-day stuff.
And I agree with you, Dave. I totally agree with you on that 100%. And
Okay.
and
We'll
and just,
get working on this tomorrow.
and just to comment, Fred, in your own words, it is a valuable position. It's not a position any longer that, you know, somebody's friend can do it. They have to be highly qualified, which we are very fortunate to get Kendra, because she is.
That's why I hired her.
Well, you didn't hire her. We made her interim. She's not hired yet. And if the board will take great pleasure in hiring her.
It's there's no such thing. It's my appointment. She's not interim. My appointment. You just set the salary, period.
True.
Well, we didn't do that at the board meeting, Fred. She's interim right now.
She's not.
Sean.
So you might think she's interim. She's not interim. She's appointed as bookkeeper.
So then
I'm not sure.
what are we even having board meetings and changing resolutions and voting on things if after the board meeting?
Listen. I'm quoting state law. Somehow people think you can override state law. You can't. The solution may here be is that we hire a second bookkeeper.
Wendy, you do the minutes. Did we not at that last board meeting change it to interim? Because
I would have to go back to the minutes, Joe. We go through a lot of work in 2 weeks. I'd have to go
Hey,
back
Mike.
to review them.
Mike,
I
do you
remember
recall?
that. You remember, matter of fact, you reiterated the resolution and you mentioned the word interim. She will be paid on her interim basis, you know, per diem.
But I think that what Freddie's saying, that if he made the appointment, that, you know, and it was his pick, that yes, first of all, she's not interim. Second of all, you can vote on her salary. That's what you get to do.
But at
And
the
on this
last
next
meeting,
one,
we didn't do that.
I agree with you, Joe. I agree. But I do believe that if it's Freddie's appointment, it's his appointment. Even though we feel that we might have, because I think that you're probably right, but I think if it's Freddie's choice to hire, he gets to hire as long as we agree on the salary.
So what I'm saying is that as of right now, Kendra is interim. So
No.
as of right now,
Who thinks she's interim? She's
she is
not
legally-
Can I read the resolution from last month?
if you have it, sure.
Resolution made by Winslow, seconded by Mazzetti, to appoint Kendra Minor to the position of bookkeeper at a salary of $55,000 per year effective 11/30/2020. Roll call, 5 ayes carried.
But Wendy, we had a discussion and we changed it to interim. So then you didn't put in the minutes. If you go to the minutes,
We're not even close to being done with those minutes because we're just a
in the
hair
minutes,
bit busy.
we changed the resolution to interim.
Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's Freddie's appointment, it's his appointment. There is no interim then.
Well, I don't know. I don't recall exactly what the resolution was at the meeting, but I do remember some conversation regarding it. But yeah, if notwithstanding that, if Freddie could make the appointment, he doesn't have to make it interim because it's his appointment. So if that, no matter what that language is, Freddie could just make the appointment on at his pleasure. It really is an appointment at his pleasure. So if he, like I said, next month at the next meeting, if he makes the appointment, which is an appointment at his pleasure, it's whatever he decides it is. Like I said, we'd have to look at the language of the language in the minutes, because I do remember some discussion regarding it. But she's appointed as bookkeeper now, and if Freddie intends to appoint her as his appointment at the next meeting, he has the authority to do so.
And we reorg in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
There's a lot of things going on with that reorg.
You would hope so.
Oh, I'm sure there will be, Fred.
Okay, we moving on? Any other old business? Seeing none, new business. Is there any new business to come before the board?
Mr. Gilmore has his hand up.
Yes.
I'm waving profusely. Everybody saw that? I sent a memorandum pretty much to the board members about the Climate Smart Committee for Ulster County. It's becoming a pretty major program. It's running countywide. I believe there's only 4 or 5 towns that have not joined it, and we're one of them. It's no cost, but it is an operational statement by the town that we're interested in controlling the climate. And they have a pledge that the town has to take, and it has to go as a resolution to the board. If and when the board approves it, they can assign someone to help achieve the 10 goals that are laid out in the pledge. And it's not something you do right away. It's something you do systematically. And we've actually done quite a few things environmentally that meet the requirements of the Climate Smart Committee. And at the last meeting, they announced that through, let's see, let me just get this right. Through an organization called Bolt Builders and the DEC, they're offering an opportunity, once you get certified, to receive a stipend of $8,000 a month that the board can assign to anyone they want to pursue the items in the pledge and make us a climate-friendly community. So I have the resolution already to present if interested. And it's nothing difficult. It's I think just smart, acknowledging that there's climate concerns in the town, that the town has taken steps, that we have green space like the rail trail. We have the energy stations at a couple of locations that I know of for electric vehicles, which falls into that. We have solar panels throughout the town. I don't know, Dave, do we have a policy in the building department on solar panels? Is there any restrictions?
There was an entire
There is,
section
right?
of the code. Yep.
Okay, that right there is worth points. And what you do is you score points as you address different things. For example, the board does a resolution, we get 5 points. When you get to, I think it's 50 or 45 points, then you qualify for the stipend. And then you bring on someone whose job, if you want to call it that, would be to make sure that the town follows those. And if it's not anything crazy, it's $8,000 a year. And pretty much they have to attend all the monthly meetings, take steps and pledge.
Well, you know what? I think what we should do is we'll circulate all that information and see if it's the board's pleasure, we can address that at the monthly meeting. And in the meantime, Russ, would you give me the list of towns that are on and the towns that are not on?
Sure. Do
Okay,
that.
great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Any other new business tonight? Okay, privilege of the floor. Seeing none, resolutions A. Wendy, would you read resolution A?
Resolution A, to hire Sarah Von Nostrand as contingent permanent receptionist with typing for the Buildings Department at $15.80 per hour effective December 7th, 2020, at the recommendation of Building Department Director David Barton.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Or is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Nope.
Aye.
Resolution B, Wendy?
Resolution to transfer Alex Cascio from HMEO at Highway Department to Water and Wastewater Maintenance Worker at the rate of $22.06 per hour plus longevity effective December 7th, 2020, at the request of Adam Littman.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Steve?
Motion to close Haviland Road parking lot at the Hudson Valley Rail Trail on Friday, December 11th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. for the Town of Lloyd Events Committee Drive-Through Holiday Light Festival.
Motion.
Second? Is there a second? All in
I second
favor? Aye. Wendy, would you read D, please?
Who seconded?
Mike.
I think it was either Mike or
Mike.
It was Mike.
Mike,
Mike. It was
can you
Mike.
hear me?
Yes, now I can hear
A
Mike.
little faint, but we can hear you.
Resolution to amend the final 2021 budget due to an error in calculating Mountainside Woods Drainage District with the following budget amendments. So they're going to take $500 out of economic development, $500 out of programs of the aging for the aging, and $500 from celebrations to balance out that $1,500.
Motion.
Is there a motion second?
Second.
All in
Discussion.
favor? So discussion, go ahead, Joe.
So Fred, I'm going to ask you, now that you've made this budget, and this is why I did not vote to exceed the tax cap because of all the issues with this budget, which you are chief financial officer and responsible for.
Right.
Am I hearing now that this mistake is being corrected?
Well, it's not a mistake, and I'll explain it to you.
It's a mistake because
No, it's not. It's not a mistake. I will explain it to you.
So is
they
your
created-
budget?
I'll explain your question. When they created this drainage district a number of years ago, there were only a handful of people in it. What they didn't do at the time, since they created a district, they didn't create a revenue stream whereby Wendy would have a line item on a tax bill, where they would pay to. So it's been paid out of general. This year, when we did the budget, you always, since there was nobody to talk to about this history, the thought was is that there was a revenue stream with this, so we set it up like every other district with a revenue stream. Well, there isn't a revenue stream; it's paid out of general. This is the last year that will happen, because when we spoke to our accountants, that should have been done for years, and it hasn't. It will be done next year, where there'll be a district, and then there'll be a revenue stream in the tax bill, and that'll be corrected. So it wasn't a mistake this year, and it wasn't a mistake years ago. It just wasn't done the way it should have been done.
Okay, so the question is that it's unbalanced. You submitted it, and now that you have to correct it.
It is everybody's budget.
You know, he is the chief
Everybody's budget?
financial officer, and he.
Well, everyone, if the town council, we all represent the budget. So
But he
all of us
was a
got a
chief
copy of the budget. And at the time, if the budget was a problem, any one of us could have caught it. So, we're moving forward. Somebody caught it. Great. We've all been alerted to it. Kendra and Margaret worked hard. Wendy also worked hard. Annie, I heard, worked hard on making some of the changes. So it all worked out in the end.
Did it work out in the end? So, Mr.
Sure did.
Supervisor,
Sure did.
I'm asking you,
Joe, don't turn this into a gotcha moment, okay?
not a
You
guy-
got the budget. We
It's
have
not
to
a gotcha
resolve.
moment. We are a town board working together on a budget. There should be no gotcha moments. If any one of the councilmen had been told that there was a problem with anything on the budget, then they should have come forward and let everybody know, as it is our duty, as we are getting paid by the town.
Mr. Supervisor, my question to you is, now that this is corrected, are you confident that this final budget you're putting forward is correct and you have enough funds to support the town as written?
As far as I know, unless there's some other trick in there that we didn't see.
Is there
There's no
anything
mistake.
Joe, is there anything that you know that we don't know?
The only thing I'm hearing about is that he took money out of Parks and Recreations that he's not allowed to take. Is that true?
Park and recreations for what?
The funds that you get for, like, if somebody builds a house, the $2,500 rec fee.
What did I pay out of park and recreation?
I heard, and I'm not saying it's correct, I heard that you put that into revenue.
But what
You
is the
can't-
revenue?
You can't touch those funds.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Let me
you didn't-
intervene here.
but
Joe,
we
those
did-
are
we-
recreation fees, and they come every time a house is built, like in a subdivision, and obviously Dave can explain that a little bit more,
They can
$2,500.
only,
But, so I would believe that they considered revenue from Mountainside Woods that are going to continue to build.
Right.
I think you took that out, though. Didn't you take that $40,000 out of there, out of the
We
budget?
did.
You did.
We
Okay,
did.
thank
We
you.
took it out. That's correct.
so that's what I'm saying is that there's the 40,000 that I'm glad to see that you corrected. So that was a mistake.
That was corrected a long time ago, Joe.
But it was still a mistake, an oversight again.
It wasn't a
on your
mistake.
end.
It was a work in progress, that budget, till we had our final meeting. There was no
There were
mistake.
mistakes last year on the budgets too, but
We're not going to go talk about old budgets here.
It is a very big budget, and it is a very complicated budget. We went into it with a new team, and they did a great job. This mistake was something that was easily repaired.
So,
We didn't use any unexpended funds to fill the budget gap.
so how did we find this mistake? How do we find this latest $1,500 mistake? How was it discovered
The latest mistake?
Yeah, this 1,500. How did we find it? How was it brought to your attention?
Why don't you answer that question?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
'cause you obviously know the answer to
I
the
don't
question.
know. I don't know.
Really?
Really? Because we all know that you know, so it is what it is.
I'm asking.
I'll answer the question. I'll answer it.
Yeah.
Elaine Rivera foiled for the budget, the calculation sheet, and the tax cap formula, whatever, which I sent to her because she foiled them. And Elaine discovered that they used Mountainside Woods as revenue and not monies to be raised by taxes. I forwarded it to the supervisor and his secretary and the bookkeeper, and they corrected it. They were in contact with Ulster County Finance, and they corrected it. That's how it was found.
And I was also told that 3 councilmen were told of the error, that not one of them called the supervisor or Margaret or Kendra to alert her to the mistake.
Well, I'm
I
first hearing about
I
it now.
spoke to Kendra,
What?
so I spoke to Kendra.
I'm
don't
asking,
say-
Mike, because I was told when I went in and when they told me about it on Monday, I think it was Monday that I went in, that there had been an error and that 3 councilmen were told about it and that they didn't call, but I didn't know about it, so it wasn't me. So just saying, it's our honor and duty to make sure that if we hear of anything that could be possibly wrong with the budget, it is the law that we come forward immediately.
So we're making accusations. The first time I heard about
I'm
it,
not making accusations. I'm just clearly telling you that's what I was told.
well, the first time I heard about it was when Freddie told me about it this afternoon when I called him on a different reason.
Well, then I guess
But,
you
you know,
one of
it's-
the councilmen.
And that's why it's important that we have stability in that bookkeeping office. And that's why it's important that it's not a appointment. No,
That has nothing to do with it.
Has nothing to do with it at all.
yeah, because I mean, I know it has nothing to do with the person that reported it is the person you had arrested under false pretenses.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Now you're way out of order now.
Was she,
And you know
wait
what?
a minute,
Nobody's
was she
got arrested,
arrested?
Joe. You got to stop with this silliness.
arrested?
What are you doing,
I
Joe?
don't think she was arrested. And B, she was feeding you information from what I was told.
Time out.
Again,
Point,
Again,
quick.
I was
Point-
just told
point-
that because
point of order here.
you couldn't walk in, because Joe Mazzetti could not walk into town hall to ask the current bookkeeper the information. Instead of he had to go in the back door.
Okay, point of order. I'm done with this. Is there any other discussion on D? I need a roll call vote
On
When-
what?
on D.
So, okay, but, all right, so I have a first and second, I need roll call.
Yep,
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
Yes.
5-0. Read E, please.
Okay, Resolution E, which is our final resolution of the evening, is the Barry Ann Park project, where last week they approved doing work with Keystone Purchasing Network, which is a piggybacking network, and they are now
Right.
going to move forward with the project.
Right.
So the town board of the town of Lloyd hereby accepts and approves the proposal by Field Turf USA and Copeland Coating and Sports Services, a division of Craftco, for the provision of materials, labor, and insurances contained therein.
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
And I would
Steve?
say that's at the same price. It's $135,000 that was approved a couple of meetings ago.
Right, I'll get to Sean and Frank tomorrow, make sure that gets out.
So I'm
Thank-
sorry, let me go back to who made the first and second motion.
I made the first motion.
Lenny made the second, I believe.
Okay,
I
great.
think it was Mike. I thought it was Mike.
No, I didn't. I vote- Lenny beat.
No, it was Lenny.
beat.
I beat you. And I do need a roll call on that.
Motion.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Mike,
Yes.
yes.
Great, thank you.
Mazzetti, yes.
Seeing no other resolutions, then I have motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Oh, it'll be on, apparently, now remember, Richie's away. Did you have a conversation with Denise? Okay, then tomorrow have a conversation with Sean, and then it'll be on the agenda for 2 weeks. Okay,
And
thanks. Denise.
also, I want to say one more thing that I talked to Jimmy the other day, and then I talked to Dave as well. You know, COVID's on the rise in our town again, so everybody just has to try to, be safe and wear their masks, obviously, and do the right thing. And I know that it's becoming an issue in the town hall again for us that we are, everybody's pretty much getting nervous. So
Right.
just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that we're coming back around.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
I'll
All in
second it.
favor?
Aye.
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 Adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.